From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I am Ahmed Ramadan. CAIR has again labeled Stanford University a hostile campus for Muslim students. This and more on today's show. New federal data shows that the U.S. economy created far fewer jobs in 2025 than earlier estimates. The data challenges President Donald Trump's claims of a booming economy. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says employers added approximately 181,000 jobs last year, averaging around 15,000 jobs a month. That figure is approximately 69% lower than earlier estimates of 584,000 jobs. Economists say the new data confirms what many workers already felt. Hiring was weak across most sectors. Much of the limited growth came from healthcare, while other industries stalled. A separate analysis by Democrats on the Joint Economic Committee found that the U.S. lost approximately 108,000 manufacturing jobs in the first year of Trump's second term. Lawmakers say tariffs and trade policies hurt factories and slowed hiring. Critics say 2025 became a difficult year for workers, with rising costs and fewer job opportunities across the economy. 10 Texas state lawmakers are sounding the alarm over alleged torture and abuse at the country's largest immigration detention facility. They say detainees at Camp East, Montana, inside Fort Bliss, Texas, face inhumane conditions. At least 3 detainees have died in just 2 months. Democratic Representative Ana Maria Rodriguez Ramos says lawmakers have received credible reports of torture, killings, and mistreatment. The camp was built last August under the Trump administration to expand deportations by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. Lawmakers say inspections found more than 60 violations of federal detention standards in the first 50 days. Detainees reported broken toilets, lack of food, and no phone access to lawyers or family. Representative Veronica Escobar says tuberculosis and COVID-19 cases were also found. Civil rights groups, including the American Civil Liberties Union, allege forced deportation threats and physical abuse. One Cuban detainee's death was ruled a homicide after witnesses said guards choked him. Lawmakers are demanding a full investigation and accountability. President Donald Trump is warning fellow Republicans of political consequences after some lawmakers voted against his tariffs on Canada. Trump threatened that any Republican who opposes his tariff policy will face problems in the primary elections. He posted the warning on social media after 6 House Republicans joined Democrats to support a resolution to repeal the tariffs. Lawmakers who backed the measures included representatives from Nebraska, California, Kentucky, Colorado, Pennsylvania, and Washington state. Only one Democrat voted against the resolution. Tariffs have been a key part of Trump's economic policy in his second term. He has raised import taxes on goods from major trading partners, including Canada, Mexico, and China. A nonpartisan analysis says the tariffs increased costs for U.S. households by approximately $1,000 last year. The group warns the burden could rise further if the policies remain. Trump defended the tariffs, claiming they strengthen national and economic security and help force better trade deals. The House has passed a bill backed by President Donald Trump that would overhaul voting rules across the country, which civil rights groups warn could block millions of Americans from the ballot box. It now faces an uncertain future in the Senate. The bill would require proof of citizenship for people just to register to vote. It would also impose a nationwide photo ID requirement at the polls. Student IDs would not be accepted. Mail-in voting would be significantly restricted under the proposal. Supporters say the changes are needed to protect election integrity. However, election experts note there is no evidence of a widespread problem with non-citizens casting ballots. Election officials and rights groups say the requirements could be hard to meet. Some estimates suggest about 21 million Americans lack a birth certificate or passport. Analysts say the bill is unlikely to pass the Senate without Democratic support. Still, observers note it could influence voting laws in conservative-led states. The Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, has again labeled Stanford University a hostile campus for Muslim students. It has cited concerns over Islamophobia and restrictions on Palestinian activism in its 2025 Hostile Campus Ratings Report, which was released on Wednesday. CAIR gave Stanford a score of 37%. The group said the rating reflects policies and actions that made Muslim students feel unsafe, targeted, or discriminated against. The report reviewed 51 universities based on leadership decisions, disciplinary actions, and free speech protections. None of the schools scored high enough to be called unhostile. CAIR cited arrests, suspensions, and charges against students protesters who occupied the university president's office in 2024. It also referred to reports of anti-Muslim incidents since 2023. A Stanford University spokesperson said free speech is central to its mission and is protected under California law. The university claims its rules are neutral and meant to prevent disruptions to campus operations. Student activists, however, say the university's selective enforcement has had a chilling effect on any speech critical of the Israeli genocide on Gaza. Trump panel drops Catholic member after Free-Palestine remarks. Details coming up next.
My name is Layla. I was an average kid until Zula Inc. broke into my life because my dad discovered time travel. After that, everything changed.
You're the new girl Layla, right?
Whoa! What if I don't fit in?
Abdullah!
Do I hear my name? Welcome to Vancouver, cuz.
Whoa!
You four have been specially chosen to take our project into the next generation.
You can time travel?
Abdullah! No! Abdullah! Where?
Do you really think I don't know why we had to leave Seattle, Mama?
Now here, keep these close. These should never leave your wrist.
This virtual reality game is crazy. You can even eat. This is reality, buddy. We zoomed through a wormhole.
Oh no! My Go Watch! It's gone!
What does this do?
That's Al-Khwarizmi. You know, the father of mathematics. It's because of him we have algorithms.
I will not stop until your legacy, everyone's legacy, lies in ruins. Of course it was you. You little rascals ruined everything.
Your fate will be great. Just don't give up.
Time hoppers.
Welcome back. A conservative Catholic member of President Donald Trump's Religious Liberty Commission has been removed after making remarks about a free Palestine. Carrie Prejean-Bowler was expelled after she questioned whether Americans could oppose anti-Semitism while also condemning civilian deaths in Gaza or rejecting political Zionism. She criticized Israel's genocide in Gaza during an anti-Semitism hearing. Commission Chair Dan Patrick, the Republican Lieutenant Governor of Texas, claimed that Prejean Bowler hijacked the hearing for a personal political agenda. He said the decision to remove her was his own. Prejean Bowler also wore U.S. and Palestinian flag pins at the hearing, calling it a sign of solidarity with civilians facing bombing and displacement. The Council on American-Islamic Relations, or CAIR, welcomed her stance, saying that criticism of Israel government policies should not be equated with anti-Semitism. Prejean Bowler says she will not be bullied for her views and defends her right to oppose the genocide. Illegal Israeli settlers have kicked out 15 Palestinian families from their homes in the occupied West Bank. The attack took place in the village of Duyuk al-Tahta, west of Ariha or Jericho. Local sources said about 50 Israeli settlers arrived with a bulldozer and Israeli military vehicles. They demolished homes made of tin and concrete, forcing out the residents and looting their belongings, livestock, and vehicles. Families were blocked from returning to the area. The incident comes amid a surge in Israeli settler violence across the West Bank since Israel's genocide in Gaza began in October 2023. The Palestinian government says Israeli forces and settlers carried out 1,872 attacks in January alone. These include assaults, land seizures, arson, and home demolitions. Officials say Israelis have killed more than 1,100 Palestinians, injured about 11,500, and arrested more than 21,000 during the escalation. Israel recently approved new measures to tighten control over the occupied territory. 2 children were killed and 12 others injured in a drone strike on a school in southern Sudan on Wednesday. Medical sources blamed the attack on the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, or RSF. The strike hit a traditional Crohn school in the city of Al-Rahad in South Kordofan. Witnesses and several students were wounded in the attack. Kordofan is one of the fiercest battle zones in Sudan's civil war. The conflict between the army and the RSF began in April 2023. Al-Rahad sits on a key road linking the state capital, Al-Ubaid, to the White Nile corridor. The army retook the city last year, but fighting has continued. The war has killed tens of thousands and displaced about 11 million people. The United Nations calls it the world's largest hunger and displacement crisis. Drone strikes by both sides have hit markets, hospitals, and civilian areas across Kordofan. The Chief Minister of Indian-occupied Kashmir warns that a proposed India-US trade deal could damage the region's fragile economy. Omar Abdullah told the Regional Assembly the agreement could allow key American products to enter duty-free. He said this would hurt local farmers and small businesses. Abdullah listed apples, almonds, walnuts, saffron, honey, and dairy as the main sectors at risk. He said the region depends heavily on horticulture and has no marine industry to offset losses. Abdullah called the deal a bargain that does not serve the interests of people in Indian-occupied Kashmir. Apple growers also expressed concern, warning of losses if cheaper imports flood the market. Lawmakers from India's ruling Hindu nationalist Bharatiya Janata Party, or BJP, rejected his criticism, saying foreign trade policy is decided by the federal government. In 2019, the Indian government revoked Article 370 of its constitution, removing the special autonomous status of the Muslim-majority state of Jammu and Kashmir. Analysts say the move was a power grab meant to expand the BJP and Hindu nationalist power in the region. Turkish Airlines says it will start scheduling flights from Urumqi, the capital of the Chinese-occupied East Turkestan region, also known as Xinjiang. The move has drawn criticism from Uyghur rights advocates around the world. They say the new route could help Beijing promote a tourist-friendly image of the region. East Turkestan is home to the Uyghurs, a mostly Muslim Turkic ethnic group with cultural ties to Turkey. The United Nations and major rights groups say China has carried out mass detentions, forced labor, and strict surveillance there. Some governments say the actions amount to genocide. Rights groups argue that tourism and foreign business can help China present East Turkestan as stable and prosperous. They say this risks masking ongoing abuses. Turkey hosts one of the world's largest Uyghur diaspora communities. Human Rights Watch says some Uyghurs in Turkey now face tighter residence rules and detention risk as the country's ties with China grow. Polls have closed in Bangladesh's landmark national election, seen as a direct contest between the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, or BNP, and an 11-party alliance led by the Jamaat-e-Islami Party. Vote counting is now underway across the country. Early trends show BNP taking a lead, with Jamaat-e-Islami poised to emerge as the main opposition in parliament. More than 127 million eligible voters are choosing a new government 18 months after a student-led movement ended former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's two-decade rule. Parliament has 350 seats, including 300 directly elected members and 50 seats reserved for women. Voting took place in 299 constituencies after the death of one candidate. Alongside the election, voters also cast ballots in a national referendum on politic reforms, including term limits for the Prime Minister and stronger checks on executive power. Turnout was reported nearly 48% during midday. The Election Commission said the final turn will be known later as the counting of votes progresses. Authorities say counting may take longer than usual because of the dual ballots and a record number of parties and candidates. A new clinical trial suggests intermittent fasting may help people living with Crohn's disease. Researchers found that eating within an 8-hour window each day cut disease activity by 40% in just 12 weeks. Abdominal discomfort dropped by approximately half. The study was led by the University of Calgary in Canada and published in the Journal of Gastroenterology. Crohn's disease is a long-term inflammatory condition that affects the digestive tract. It can cause abdominal pain, diarrhea, fatigue, weight loss, and poor nutrient absorption. The disease has no cure, and treatment usually focuses on reducing inflammation and controlling symptoms. The study involved 35 adults with Crohn's disease who were also overweight. 20 followed time-restricted feeding, while others kept regular eating schedules. Participants who fasted lost approximately 5.5 pounds. The control group gained nearly 4 pounds. Blood tests also showed lower levels of inflammation and improved immune markers. Researchers say larger studies are needed to confirm the long-term safety and benefits of this approach. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.